Hey, everybody. We are live, and a friend of mine, Mike Roderick, is about to join the stage. Um, so it's a real honor. It's a real honor today. You guys, you scored. You win. You get a chat with Michael Roderick. That's because, and he came up with the law of the land, which is tax or be taxed. So that's the guy you get to deal with. Mike, can you hear me? Roderick,
I'm working on it, man. Give me one second.
there you are. I can hear you. I'm gonna do while Mike works out his equipment. I'm gonna do a quick intro to what we're gonna be talking about today. We are on, let me pull it up, number 4 of System as a Solution, 10 Principles of Success. So number 4 is prioritize rest. You need to remember to take breaks, clear your head, celebrate your wins, which is the one I'm going to be focusing on today, because rest is essential to maintain peak performance. So that is what we're going to chat about today. I could go into, all the health benefits of just taking rest in general. I will say that when I'm working in front of the computer, I'm staring at the stupid thing all day. I do take breaks. I get up, I leave my desk, and then I come back, and that helps quite a bit. I feel like I have to do that because otherwise I get so into what I'm doing, I can't even, I just get dead. I'm sure you guys have noticed this. You'll be working at your desk, right? And you've been working for like an hour or 2 hours, 45 minutes even. It guys, it depends on what you're working on, because some things are easier than other things. Hold on, I'm going to invite him again. So you're sitting at your desk and you're working on something, and you'll notice like all of a sudden you just spent, like, you can still kind of muscle through it. You can still kind of work, but your head, your mind is just turning into mush, and it's hard to see. Hey, Roderick, you're on. So it gets a little hard, and then you'll notice that you're working like at half speed. And that's where the physical part comes in. Like I said, we're going to really focus a lot today on celebrating wins, because that goes into life and happiness. I know you're thinking what, but we're going to get there. So there's the physical part. You'll notice that you can actually do more if you leave the desk. If all my employees, when you work at home, they all like try to eat lunch at their computer and power through. And I always tell them, like, no, you need to get away from your computer, stand up, leave your office, let your mind and your eyes process different information. I say you need to leave your house if you work at home and go to lunch and then eat. And then when you come back, then you're revitalized and you're ready to rock. So the physical part's a big one. You'll actually get more done if you do take that rest and just leave. But that's a small part of this, although I do think it's super important. Michael Roderick, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is the guy. This is a good friend of mine, actually. And Mike, what are you? I guess we're talking about a little bit about big mics, right?
Yeah. Dude, I hate to do this to you. For some reason, my Bluetooth's not working, so I'm gonna go. I'm in a place. I'm gonna go sit in my truck. But keep talking while we walk.
Right.
Walk with me. Look at this. It's technology, dude.
Yeah,
this is how we do it.
Technology.
Heaven forbid I'm prepared. That would be absolutely silly to be prepared. Yeah, I was just having some breakfast at Chick-fil-A. So I apologize. Give me a second here, and we'll be.
Nobody eats breakfast at Chick-fil-A, but nobody.
I eat breakfast, lunch, and oftentimes dinner at Chick-fil-A. So
I'll eat lunch and dinner, but I don't think I've ever had breakfast at Chick-fil-A, and I think you might be the only one.
You should get some chicken minis. All right.
Okay, so here's where I want to focus. Like I said, there's a lot of aspects to this taking a break. Actually, Mike, before we get into it, introduce yourself. Tell the people what you, I guess, what you're about.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Roderick. Man, what is going on with my video here? Based out of Las Vegas. You and I have known each other for, I don't know, since God was a boy, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so right now, currently, I've got my main business is Big Mike's Products. We're auto detailing / cleaning product family. We have a little pressure washing business we do here in Vegas, and whatever else whatever weird ADHD ideas we come up with. My wife said that she goes, "You start businesses on accident." Oh, did I lose you?
No, we can see. It's a lower connection. We got you. You good.
Oh,
Your audio's there.
But yeah, she goes, you start business on accident because, you're just talking to people and then they have a need for something. And, you're like, oh, hey, well, what does it pay? That's literally how we started. I mean, speaking of Chick-fil-A, so we pressure wash several Chick-fil-A drive-thrus here in town. And it literally started with me having a conversation with the general manager one day because he knew that my family sold that equipment back in Salt Lake and he was wondering about it because his guy quit or something. And I was like, well, how much does it pay? And he told me, and I was like, we start Sunday. So, why not grab a piece of that pie, I guess. I don't know. And then we've got our other business, the detailing product business. And that's what we're doing now, man. So.
I love it. Of course, I know this stuff about you. Like I said, we've been friends for a long time. Well, we're gonna sit on a topic, and then we're gonna kind of talk back and forth about it. I'll just kind of lay out the basic talking point, and then you can chime in and give me your opinion. But the what I was going to focus on is celebrating wins. So here's why I actually equate celebrating wins to a happy life. Yeah, the video's tough, but the audio's still there, Robert.
Okay.
So celebrating wins for me. So life in general, and I'll just I'll go past this pretty quick. I hope I don't take too long on it. So life in general is a journey. When you're a kid and you're kind of ignorant, you think of life as a destination. Like, I'm going to get to this spot and be happy. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be happy. Maybe when you're 16, like, I'm just going to have a girlfriend and I'm going to be happy, whatever, right? So you think, I'm going to get to this spot and that's going to work. And then as you get older and realize that, like, you've hit that spot so many damn times that you just wanted that one thing. And the question here is, how many times did you stop, pull back, and celebrate? Because as soon as you get to that plateau, all of a sudden you're like, well, now there's another plateau. Like, there's the next thing I got to hit. And then you get there and you're like, well, now obviously this was good and I'm happy, but like, that's not even close to what I want. I want this other thing. And that's life. And that's what makes us happy, is the journey, is growth. If you're not growing and improving and hitting those marks that you've set for yourself, then you're miserable. Like, that is what a miserable existence. You have got to be progressing. And so we can get into setting aim, because if you don't have an aim, then what's your target? You're not even going to know where you're going. We're not going to, I guess we could, but I don't know if we're going to get into that. The main thing I want to focus on is that is happiness, is celebrating those wins, because there's never a point you're going to hit where you hit it like, done, I got it. You think you would. You think, well, if I won the lottery and got $20 million or $100 million or $1 billion, then I would be good. But the statistics show that's simply not true. Most of them die broke, and a lot of them ruin all their family relationships. There's no point. There's no spot you're going to hit. It's always a journey, and I'm not going to get too biblical, but this will be the last part of it. That's why in Christianity, you are asked to follow God, which is perfection. There's a reason for that, because it's unattainable. Right. If it was a check mark and you hit all the checks and you'd be done, you'd be bored and miserable. Perfection's unattainable. That's why you're going for it. So that is life, that's journey, and that is happiness, is the voyage. So there's more I can say on that, but what do you think on that, Robert? How do you feel about that?
It's interesting, because something that I wish I would have learned earlier in my life was to distinguish what we were doing career-wise versus what we were doing in our, godlike pursuits, right? Our religious pursuits, if you will. I'll say that, like, whatever people's religion is, and it could be a literal religion, Catholicism, Mormonism, something like that, or it could be, there's people's religion where it's their sports team or it's their car club or whatever your religion is, that's your pursuit of on aside from your career. I hadn't ever really figured out that they were distinguishable, I guess. But on the career side, I worked the corporate world and had a great job, great company, wonderful company. I've got nothing bad to say about these guys. And when we would hit our goals, they'd give you these objectives every year, and they'd go, you got to sell so many of this piece of equipment, so much of this piece of equipment, in terms of like unit numbers, inventory being sold. And then you got to hit this gross dollar amount and this net dollar amount and all this stuff. And then we would hit those and you'd get a high five. And then January would roll around and they'd go, here's your new objectives. And they were never the same objectives. They were never like, okay, go do that again. It was like, now last year you sold 50 widgets. This year you got to sell 55 widgets. And last year you're responsible for, $500,000 in gross sales. This year you got to do 650. Every company has their president's club or their platinum club or whatever. Right. And they'd go, like, when I first started with that company in 2011, to get to the president's club, you had to sell $385,000 in gross profit. I was with them almost a decade. On my 9th year, it was up to $800,000. So it just kept going, and I don't know that kept up with inflation, but what it was it was a maneuver to push us to sell more, to be part of that exclusive president's club or whatever it was, right? And it's funny because there was always this part of me that kind of went like, I'm happy with the money I'm making. I've got enough. Why? But if I don't produce more, then you guys don't have a use for me, And it was weird as the older I got and I started to realize, it doesn't matter what cap I set for myself. And I don't know, you were talking about, if I make this amount of money or whatever, I'll throw a number out, $100,000, 6 figures. Okay. I finally got to that. Man, my life's pretty comfortable. Got the house I want, the cars I want. We go on the vacations we want. And then somebody, the boss comes along and says, yeah, well, that's great that you're happy with it, but we have to keep growing. We're trying to build our valuation of our company up. We got to sell more. And so I either got to get rid of you and bring in 2 guys to do what you're doing, or you got to do that, or whatever it is. And so going back to celebrating, I never celebrated because I knew that there was nothing to celebrate, because they were just going to pile more on and expect more out of us. And there wasn't ever oh, okay, well, you're good with that. Cool, man. And it's funny because you think about sports, there's the LeBron James and the Steph Currys, right? But then there's somebody sitting on the bench making league minimum, just sweating bullets. Man, I hope they don't figure me out, man. I'm good making $950. Woo, $950 is a lot of money. If I got to go in, I got to play 2.5 minutes every game and just not get hurt and don't cause any problems. They'll just keep paying me this. But even in that, you would think the league would be like, man, we got this player that's pretty decent. We pay him $950 and he's happy to get that $950,000. They go, no, sorry, man. If you're not putting up more points and putting more butts in seats and selling more concessions and more jerseys, then even though we're getting you at a bargain, we'd rather spend $5 million a year for somebody, and than give you $9. You know what I'm saying? It's never enough. When do you celebrate? So I don't know. I kind of rambled there, but you get my point, I think.
Yeah, that for me, like I said, that I agree with you. The celebration is key. If you don't acknowledge what you've already got to, you're never going to be happy. And that is because in your mind, you're thinking, if I get to this mark, I will be happy. I get it. But if you when you did get there, if you didn't pull back and just say, man, I'm so thankful for what all the things I have. This is so amazing. I got it. I accomplished it. I checked that box. If you don't do that, your body never gets that reward. Then you kind of lose motivation. Like, well, why? If you finally got to 100 and now you're like, I want to get to 2, why? You weren't even happy at 100. You didn't even celebrate. Well, you can get to 2, then what? 3,
Yeah.
4? There's a lot of very rich people that are depressed, and people that
Yeah.
accomplish amazing things. I think of that the girl that made the bags, the gal that she killed herself, Spade.
Okay.
Kate Spade. This girl, I mean, she was unbelievable. She had accomplished so much in her life. She was making a ton of. She was at the top of her game. And kind of a fun side note, which I just learned seriously like a month ago. Did you know Kate Spade is David Spade's sister-in-law? Like the comedian? Can you hear me? I lose you? Oh, we lost him. Anyway, when I found that out, my mind was blown. Anyway, so she's at the top of her game, does all this, and she commits suicide. So it just goes to show that there's not some point you're going to hit where everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. I'm so happy now. No, that's not how it works. That's why you have to celebrate where you're at, the things you've already accomplished. That's what's going to bring you happiness in general in life. That's why it's on here as one of the keys to principles of success, is just being thankful for what you currently have, being thankful for the milestones you've already crossed. That's how you can build momentum, because also it reinforces that thought. Because sometimes there's a task that's daunting. You've gotten your business and you've built it up when you're doing $1 million a year, and you've got comfortable. And let's say you did celebrate, you're happy, you're good, but now you want to get to 2. I guess the 2 scenarios would be this point. You're at 100, you think I want to get to 2. If you look at that like, I'm just never going to get to where I want, it's going to be hard for your mind to find the things it needs to find to get to that 200,000. But if instead you change your mind frame more like abundance and look back and go, I got to 100. I did it. I'm the guy. I'm the man that did it. I did it. I got to 100. I took it from 0. I got to 100. This is amazing. You know what? I can get to 200. I can get to 200 because I got to 100. It helps prove to yourself and to others that you did it. You got there. So it's a really big part. I hope I accept the right one, Mike. That's why it's such a big part of the process, is because it's not only celebrating where you're at, it sets your mind frame up for the next one because you can build on it. If you're just simply like, I don't know, I'm going to get to 200, it doesn't work the same. I don't know how much you caught of that, Mike.
No, I heard it all. For some reason, my video was acting up on the laptop, so I moved it to the phone. Sorry, man.
Oh, I'm glad you heard it because it was pure gold. And I don't know if I could repeat that.
No, it was gold, and you're exactly right. If to take it back to like going back to the, I guess, the celebratory aspect of all of it, it is weird. Like, I don't understand why. I don't know where that shift took place in the timeline of, modern career working society, where it was like if you went back to like our caveman brains, like you went out, you killed a woolly mammoth and you brought it back to the cave to feed your woman and your offspring. And there wasn't like, the celebration was, guess we don't die, and tomorrow I'll go get us another one. Like there was no concept of like, hey, you've achieved something. But as we've grown as a society and we've, we started shedding our caveman brain into more of a civilized brain and whatnot. It's interesting to me that we don't, like, there is this stigma of going, like, sitting back and going, yeah, man, high five, you did it. Cool. Hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. And the good news is you can do more if you want, or you can maintain where you're at. And hey, if you slip a little, let us know how we can help you get back to where you want to be. It's this like stigma of like you're not producing, whether we're talking, sales as a career, whether we're talking you're literally swinging a hammer, putting nails into a house, building a house. There's always somebody or some entity that's like, nope, I don't care what you did for me. So what have you done for me lately? I don't care what you did yesterday. We need more out of you today. And that gets to be a really tricky thing, especially as like I find it like just as a husband or a dad or whatever. Like we don't sit and look at our kids like that. Like your kids play sports and play music like my kids do. You don't go, well, that's really good. You scored 2 goals yesterday, but that means I need 3 out of you this time. We don't stop showing our kids love and affection because they didn't score enough goals or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the things we do here in the nappy house is we not only set up goals and we prioritize what we want them to do, but we absolutely celebrate every time when a kid brings home grades and the goal is 4.0 for all of them. When they do that, it's a huge celebration. It's not like, oh, good work, great job, do it again next quarter or next semester. It's like we get the whole family like, look what just happened. He brought home his grades. It's straight A's. Where are we going to dinner? And it's a big celebration. Like we go to dinner and it's like, dude, everybody can thank this kid because they brought home a 4.0. So
Yeah.
that's why we're eating right now. That's why we're here and so we set what we're going to prioritize in life. And then we don't just do it and forget it. We celebrate it like and I think that your business needs to be the same way where you need to have that reinforcement. So you set that goal. I'm going to get to $200,000. And then you have to figure out why you want it, how you're going to do it and all that. And there's a lot to that. We're not getting into that, but you get all that. You finally get there. You can't just pass it, man. You got to take your wife out. You got to go acknowledge like, dude, you did it. You got to 200,000, man. That's phenomenal because a year ago, you weren't even sure you could do it. That's why it's so important.
It's, I always like to use the word calibrate, right? And I actually have a little mantra that I say to myself when I start kind of spinning out of control is I say calibrate and align, like alignment and calibration, right? And you can, you can use this in literal terms, like you got to calibrate your engine and align your car, otherwise it's all out of kilter and everything. But like if you don't take time to stop and to calibrate, I don't care how fast you're going and how much power you're getting to the rear wheels, at some point you're gonna get off kilter. And like if you ever watch like drag racing, so those guys go 340 miles an hour in 2.9 seconds, right?
I've been to it. Have you been to the actual finals in Vegas?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I got a cousin who races the Top Fuel dragster. It's mind blowing.
It's mind blowing. I'm with you. We watched the whole. Sorry to interrupt, but I got to throw in my 2 cents because it was unreal. We went to the top drag. It was the finals. It was for the whole year. This was it. All the top people were there. It was like the champion, and it was in Vegas. It was in your area, and we watched all the different cars, and they're all amazing. Every different step. It got to that Top Fuel, dude. I was not ready. My vision went actually blurry. Like when they hit that gas, it was so intense that I couldn't even see straight. I didn't wear glasses or anything. I was just like, when it was over, I was like, oh my word, I've witnessed something I have never witnessed before. It was incredible. But anyway, keep going.
Well, and you think about it like, and we guys like you and I, we're just sitting in the stands watching it. You know what I mean? Imagine being that person behind that wheel of, a literal rocket on wheels. It has the same, they take off, they launch with the same force as like fighter jets off of a aircraft carrier.
Right.
There's drivers have gotten detached retinas and stuff like that. There's all kinds of weird things. But anyhow, after every single run, win or lose, they go back to their big fancy trailer and they strip that motor down to nothing. They don't just change the oil and nope, they strip everything down because that the motor and the whole car and everything went through such a 3-second ball of violence. And then the driver, he gets out and goes and sits in the trailer and gets a rub down or sits in a massage chair or puts on headphones and meditates because I shouldn't just say his, there's a lot of female drivers that are killing it. Their minds are, scrambled after something like that. And I mean, it literally would be considered like if you hooked it up to some kind of medical monitoring device, they would say like, oh, you've been through a traumatic event. Like your heart, everything, like the human body is not supposed to do that. Right. So go in the trailer and mellow out. You got to calibrate, just like they're going to calibrate the car. Again, they're not just going, oh, well, we didn't blow any rings or all the spark plugs seem good. No, they strip everything and replace every component on that engine because they got to go out and do it again. And then here's us, these human beings, and like I was recently talking to a massage therapist friend of mine because I've made it a point this year that I got to get stretched. I got to get snap, crackled, and popped at the chiropractor, all that, because we don't treat we just go and go and go until we explode. We don't take the time, like a massage, for some reason we've decided, like, because they market it as like, treat yourself and have a day at the spa. Dude, it shouldn't be a day at the spa. You should go in there because you're tight and you're mangled and you've been working and sitting in a chair or standing on your feet and whatever it is. You should go there to get aligned and calibrated. That's why you should be doing it. Not because it feels good, but because if you don't, then like, and it's funny. So I went in for a massage the day before my birthday, January 3rd. And the lady's like, when was the last time I saw you? And she looked it up. I hadn't been there in 9 months. And she's like, I feel like I'm working on a 2x4. And because like she couldn't stretch me and bend me like she needed to because I hadn't been in and hadn't maintained anything. And now it's like starting from scratch. And I was actually sore for a few days, but I got back in within a week because I don't want to do that anymore, and why aren't we doing that? Like every one of us owns a car. We go change the oil and rotate the tires and do all the things we're supposed to do because it's this big investment and we can't afford to not have our car running and we need it to go 200,000 miles and we do all the things we're supposed to do. And we don't even take the time to wake up in the morning and just stretch. I mean, yeah, we go to the gym or whatever, but like we don't take the time to calibrate ourselves and to align ourselves. And dude, look at all that, like, you ever seen like your average 75-year-old man is mangled, dude? He looks like the guy from the Nothing Else Matters video.
I don't know that video.
You know that? You don't know that video? From Metallica?
I mean, I know who Metallica is. Give me a break.
You got some homework, buddy. But just this old man, he's just mangled and twisted and everything. And like you go to the gym and you see these old dudes pushing it and working out, and then you see them in the locker room with their shirt off, and you're like, what happened? And then you realize, oh, you're going to be there too, pal, because we don't take any time to do the rest, to do this. I mean, really, that's kind of a celebration of your achievement. Like, okay, we did it. Now let's get recalibrated because you can't do it again over and over and over and over again without taking that time to, do your own lube oil and filter on yourself.
Yep. Yeah. You end up breaking down that saying. What's the saying? Like, fill up. There's a saying. I don't remember the saying, so I'm going to destroy it. But the point of the saying is, you can't give from an empty cup. So
you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't feed people from an empty pantry.
Yeah, you have to fill up yourself. Like it's a big. It usually, I think, was attributed to moms. It was like you need to take a moment away from your child and rest and refill your cup so that you can be a better mom and serve your family and kids. But the same thing applies to the business. You get so focused and just acute, like you're just going to do this, and you go in the morning and you get so routine. I do this, I check that, I do this. By the end of the day, like you were busy and you got all these things done, but you really didn't calibrate the company. You really didn't refocus of where you just did all the things that needed to happen. So you were busy, you worked, but you did not realign where you're pointing that thing. And that is a big difference when you pull back and spend even the first 30 minutes or 15 minutes, but 30 minutes of your work day, not when you get out of bed. I'm talking you sit down or you get to your office and it's a work day. And if you want to have a good day, you set that first 30 minutes. There's some different opening exercises, things you could do, but at the end of the day, what you need to do is calibrate. Like, what needs to happen today to make today a successful day? In the beginning, it's almost hard to do that. You're like, I don't know. But if you do that every day, you start to get good at it, like a muscle. And pretty soon you walk in, you're like, okay, these are the 4 things that would make today a successful day. And it's recalibrating. Like, I need to figure out which direction we're going and how to right the ship and get us to where we need to be. So where does my focus need to be? You do that every morning, your company will stay on track. They say, like, if you want to know where your company's at, you got to measure it. So if you measure your company's sales once a year, at the end of the year, you're probably going to be like, we didn't hit our goal because you didn't recalibrate. But if you measure your sales every single week and you focus on where you need to be that week to get the month, to get the quarter, to get the year, you are far more likely to get to the goal because you keep recalibrating to keep the point where it needs to be. So the more times you measure that thing, the better success you're going to see. And that is the calibration and taking a rest.
I had a meeting, a phone meeting with an SEO expert last week. And somebody had turned me on to this guy.
What qualifies you to be an SEO expert? Is there a course?
Oh, I don't know. I'm looking at what good question. When I say maybe expert isn't the right word. How about proven SEO champion? I don't know.
Okay, well, you're just throwing around that term real loosely.
That's true. You know? That's true. I guess.
Uh-oh, I lost you. I can't hear you. If you can hear me. We lost Roderick. So good news for you guys. You get to hear me talk more. What? Thing is I really wanted to hear his point about the SEO guy you just met with, because I think that would be relevant to our audience, the businesses trying to grow their business. I could fill this with a story. You know, there's a quote that just came to mind. They attribute to Lincoln, you know, those website quotes, those internet quotes are like, the ones the kids always quote me is funny. They're always like, you can't believe everything on the internet. And it says, quote from George Washington. And it's like, well, that's funny, right? Because obviously. Anyway, so there's a quote that's attributed to Lincoln. Now, whether he actually said it, I don't know. Who knows? But it basically says, if I had 6 hours to cut down a tree, it says, if I had 6 hours to cut down a tree, I would spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe, the last 2 cutting. A lot of us do the opposite. We're just going to go in, we put our head down like a bull, and we try to just run through this thing and just get it done and force it. When really, you know, there's probably, you know, 3 or 4 things that you could have done that would have made 80% of the impact. And the other 10 things you did, not that they were totally pointless, but they were mostly pointless. So a lot of times sharpening that axe before you start cutting is really what's actually, it feels counterproductive because you sit down and start to think versus actually doing stuff. And the end result is actually you got more done by sitting and thinking and less done by, you know, just trying to muscle through it. Because what you'll find is you spend a lot of your time doing the work that maybe was only going to make a 20% difference on the outcome anyway. And you could have spent 20% of your time on the few things that are going to make the 80% difference in your outcome. But Roderick is back. Let's hear it. What's the story about the SEO guy that you just so really know?
I cannot catch a break with the tech today. Yeah, so the SEO guy. So because we definitely need to do that with our website. We haven't done it. We're on the wrong platform and stuff like that. And he gives me these pointers and he's showing me what he's done for other companies. But one thing that he asked me that, because I've met with a bunch of them and I've said, you know, we need to increase our sales, our online sales. And this guy said, he was the only one to ask me, well, what are your sales now and where do you want them to be in what amount, in what time frame? And I was like, oh, well, and like in my head, like I know how many units we need to sell to generate that that big pie in the sky $1 million number, right? Like that's our number. Everybody wants to get to the $1 million sales mark. And I know literally, I can tell you right now, 66,666 bottles of product, 5,555 per month, 222 per day. I know the exact number. But I don't know how to get there. And no one had ever asked me that. Like none of these other companies that promised me what they could do with Facebook ads and Instagram ads and blah, blah, blah. We can get you this reach and that reach, and we can get this many people, these many eyeballs on it. And this guy said something interesting. We're talking about even like email marketing. And he goes, it doesn't matter how many emails you have in your database. It matters how many people look at the email you send them. And he's like, so that's the first thing you need to do is figure out how, like, first of all, figure out, let's say you have 1,000 email addresses. I'm just throwing out round numbers. If you have 1,000 email addresses and you're sending 1,000 emails, say weekly about your company, and your open rate is 80 of those, then stop sending them to the other people and just send them to the 80 people that are opening it. Stop even wasting time trying to convert those. We can come back to them later. I just thought it was like, oh, flood this. I didn't understand that, and it's so weird because I do understand it. I just didn't understand it for my own business, which is, well, where do you want to be and in what time frame? That's, if you want to make $1 million, then that's, 80 grand a month. That's, divided by 22 working days a month. Like, you have to figure out how much you have to generate if that's the amount you're trying to get to. And I'd never done that with my business ever. And this was the first guy that was like, you can't, like you just said before I got disconnected again. You said, like, if you don't know what your target is, then you're just, aiming and scattering buckshot all over the place. You got to have something to aim for. Well, what is that number? And maybe it's a number, maybe it's a different milestone, whatever that is. But if you don't define it and then give it a time frame and then let's go back to the calibration thing. How do you know how to calibrate or how to align or how to take that break and readjust yourself if you don't even know where the hell you're going? And so that's a big thing that we all kind of neglect. I say we all, just in general terms. I know that there's people that are way more dialed in than I could ever hope to be, but like even just simple little alignments and little readjustments are the way to get to where you're going. So,
yep, we just had a readjustment calibration at Task Bullet, and I spent the last 6 months working on it. You're probably thinking, geez, that's a long time of doing nothing else. I did other stuff, but it started as the thought of where I want to be. Then it went to, okay, I know where I want to be. I know why I want to be there. And then it was like, how do I get there? And instead of going in and doing what I've done in the past, which is just go hard at everything and see what sticks to the wall, I pulled back and said, I got to think of something better. And I spent a long time. I've got a couple thinking spots in my property that I go to and I walk. And I'm usually actually talk out loud. You probably think I was a crazy person. I'm out there I
do the same thing.
My thought process, and it probably looks weird, but I literally am speaking to myself, walking through the process over and over and over again. I worked on it for probably 4 months, just getting the idea to where I thought, okay, I've got it. And it took a long time. Like, it was a lot of just sitting and thinking. Oh, that won't work. What if I do this? Finally get it there. Then it took me a month to get my employees on board, not just the management. I hadn't given to all the employees. Then it took me a month of just basically motivating them, like, look, this is the new thing and this is how it's going to work. It took forever. I finally get them on board. And again, this wasn't doing work. This wasn't marketing. It wasn't finding customers. It wasn't servicing the customers. This was just talking about how to redefine it, calibrate, sharpen our axe forever. Finally, after 30 days or a month worth of meetings, like just over and over with management, going through the details, which really was just me motivating and getting them on the team. Because like anyone that, see a football team and any team that's being coached, you got to get them on board. If they don't buy into the system, it isn't going to work. And
Right.
these are the people that work directly with the next management level and then the employees. So a lot of times they were like, well, just to move on, let's move on. And I'd stop the meeting numerous times, like, whoa, that's not how this works. We have to be on the same page. If you do not buy in and feel it, like, it isn't going to work. So we went over and over and over. It took so long. We finally went that. And then I only had a month to implement it because I needed it in place before January 1st. And so it was like a fire, like just everyone trying to get this stuff in place. And I'll admit the execution at the end was a bit rushed and it did not go as smoothly as I had hoped. But it's in place now. And whether or not will work, I don't know. We're measuring it. We'll recalibrate it to refine it and get to where we're going. My point to the story was I didn't just bust in and say, just try these 10 things and let's see where we're at. I really broke it down and I spent months thinking about our model every day. Like, this is what we're doing. This is the result we're getting, but this is the result I want. What needs to change in my system to get this result? Months and months and months. And then training. And now we're in the implementation phase. And even that's been a little rocky, but we're working on it. And now every day I go back and like refine, like, okay, what else do we need to do? So anyway, that's the path we're on. And the point to it is it's pulling back, taking that rest, recalibrating, and figuring out how we're getting to where we're going. But it just happened at Task Bullet. And the new system went on January 1st and today's 14th. So we'll see if we're still in business in a month, maybe backfire and we'll be gone.
It's funny that you say that. We'll see if we're still in business. So I'm getting ready to make some big changes for Big Mike's products in terms of how we market it, how we reach customers. We sponsor here in Vegas. We sponsor a local cars and coffee event every single Saturday. We're out there 7 to 10 a.m. And my 12-year-old son, God bless this kid, he gets up at 5 a.m. every Saturday and comes out there with me. We're there usually by like 6:15, setting up our booth. And we have a goal as we grow our business, and the goal is we don't go home without a sale. And this thing goes till 10 a.m. And if that means I got to sit in that parking lot after everybody's leaving, going around as people are leaving the car show and going, hey man, did you pick up your bottle of Quick Detailer today? Did you get some? Like, we are not leaving till we make a sale. And we've only had to do that twice. And we've never bageled it, which is good, or goose egged it, as they say. But even if we did, we'd probably just still go, well, that sucked, man. We'll go get a soda and call it good. That's our after we pack up for the car show. Before we go home, we grab a soda
From Chick-fil-A.
No, not from Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, like I said, that's my full meal.
You're right. Sorry to confuse those two.
Anyway, but it's interesting because like we've focused so much on doing that particular car show that I miss other events that are going on, and not just here locally in Vegas, but like I've got people reaching out to me going, hey, I talked to somebody and they love your product and they told me about, and we're doing yesterday I just got messaged by a guy that wants us to come up to Pocatello, Idaho and do a show up there. And I even got somebody wants me to come out in, I think, May to a big Jeep jamboree in like rural Georgia. And cool. The thing is like, I can't necessarily be there, but that's part of what we're doing is like finding people that can. Like, okay, I'll reach out and I'll find somebody in that local area that wants to be our rep. Something I'd never thought about. But if you want to get your product out to as many people as possible, and Walmart's not putting it on the shelf for you, you have to get it in front of people. And by the way, Walmart's not going to put it on the shelf until thousands of people already love what you're doing. They're not taking any risks. They don't have to.
Right.
And so we really have to organically build this. And dude, I'm the first one to admit, I mean, you talk about calibration. When I first started this website or this business, I was like, yeah, you just build a website and hit some keywords and then go buy your Jaguar, because people are going to spend millions of dollars on your website. Worked for Jeff Bezos.
Right. That's how it worked out, right? So you have a Jaguar now.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos did not have to do any work at all.
No.
He started a website.
Take 10 years of losing insane amounts of money to build that infrastructure.
Right. So, but here's the thing is like, I look at people. Do you ever look at somebody who's doing really good? They're like, they're successful in whatever business they're doing, and you look at them and you're like, that guy's way dumber than I am. You know what I mean? Like I say that, I'm like, dude, there are people way dumber than me making $1 million. What am I doing wrong? Here's what I'm doing wrong. I'm not executing. Oh, you got all kinds of ideas and everything, but I mean, it comes right back to the whole calibration thing. Like you can't just have ideas. Then you got to build the motor. Then you got to stage up to the line, and then you got to hit the gas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and guess what? Sometimes you're going to crash. You said it, like maybe we won't be in business in a month. But dude, when you do you remember the movie Casino with Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro?
Oh, yeah.
And there's this scene. I had this epiphany 2 years ago. There's a scene with Joe Pesci, and he's telling the banker, he's like, hey, I need my money. And the guy's like, well, you invested it with us, and so it's a long-term investment. He's like, nah, it doesn't work. I'm gonna come. I need my money. And the guy's like, I can't give you your money. You invested it, because he's from a different world. He's a gangster, right? Like,
Right.
I gave you $500,000, and so I just need it back. And the guy's like, I put it in the S&P 500. I can't just go get your money back. And he's like, well, here's what I'm going to do is on Monday morning, I'm going to come down to the bank. And if you don't have my money, I'm going to split your head open. And he's like, and I'll go to jail. And he goes, and then just about the time I get out of jail, I'm going to come back. And if you don't have my money, I'm going to do it all over again. And he goes, because I'm stupid. And that's how I do things. And I had this epiphany where I was like, dude, I'm too stupid to quit. So if this doesn't work, then I'll just do another. Like remember in The Office with Michael Scott, where he's like, I've got 60 other businesses ready to start. And the guy's like, he's like, come on, Michael. He's like, that's one of them. Dude, I'm to the point in my life where I'm like, I'm just too stupid to quit, dude. Until somebody kills me, I'm just going to keep pushing forward. And that, like, the way my brain works, I don't know that I have it in me to go back into the corporate world. I mean, I'm sure there's a number that would buy my way back in. You know, we're all for sale. If somebody came and said, here's this much money in your car allowance, I'd be like, see you Monday, boss.
Right.
You know, but at this point, like the freedom's dangerous, man, because, you know, if you don't stay calibrated and you don't stay aligned, and you don't take the time to work on things, and you're just hitting the gas all the time, you're just going to spin around. You're just going to get all the power to one wheel and just start spinning around, and that's not good. So, like, the fact that you're talking about, you had to make this big change in Task Bullet, but it wasn't an overnight thing. It took you said 6 months, right?
Dude, I've been on it for 6. I mean, obviously I didn't think for 2 hours every day, but yes, it's been a long 6-month process of redefining or calibrate.
So 6 months, and then, like you said, and then you go, and then we're ready to execute, and you're still like, hey, it wasn't real smooth to begin with. You know, I mentioned Jeff Bezos a minute ago. Amazon was one of my customers when I sold loading dock equipment, and I loved seeing how Amazon did business, because they had what they called the 70% rule, which is they need about 70% of the information to execute. Like they can look at the whole project and go, okay, we got 70% of the info and the data we need. We'll fill in the blanks, because and maybe the idea is, like, if you had 100%, maybe you wouldn't execute, because you'd be like, oh, that for sure will not work if we had all the data, you know. And dude, I had the rare pleasure to see. I got to go to the, like, Amazon headquarters and see their museum of failures. Like, they have these projects, wow. Dude, hundreds of millions of dollars that they've blown on things that they were going to do that didn't work. So you think about all the things they've done that worked, like Alexa and Prime Video, and they bought the Ring camera stuff, or Blink camera, whichever one. Like, those things have worked. They've got just as many strikeouts that we're not talking like, oh, we didn't get to the development stage. We're talking like, no, they blew hundreds of millions of dollars on different projects, but they're too stupid to quit. They just keep going. And
I've got that too. Just a laundry list of failed ideas. People see it like, oh, you've done this and this. And I'm like, dude, I have so many bad ideas that maybe they were good, but I didn't execute right. Or maybe they were just bad ideas, or maybe the timing's off. I don't know. But the bottom line is, I spent money and time, and they didn't work. That's a fact.
And it
That's
didn't
where
work
we're
out.
at. So,
And the thing is that you got to be careful because that can make you bitter. Like, I think it was like 3 years ago, I spent like what I would consider a small fortune for me. I spent like $7,500 with a company to do like Facebook and Instagram ads, right? It yielded one sale.
oh, that's brutal.
I made a $15 sale from $7,000 worth of bull crap. And but it's funny because I don't go, those Instagram and Facebook ads, they don't work. I go, no, I did it wrong. I hired the wrong people, or I had the wrong strategy. I don't even know, honestly. I don't even know if I hired the wrong people because they've had success with other people. It could 100% be my idea or my concepts or whatever. I don't know, but it didn't work. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just means that it didn't work. It didn't make me quit. It didn't make me want to throw in the towel. I mean, it hurt. It kicked me in the nuts pretty bad. But again, dude, I'm too stupid to quit. So we just keep going.
You know, we're gonna end it here in just a few, but I'm going to just say one last thing on the Amazon thing that you brought up. What's very interesting with Amazon, there's a lot of interesting, but what was really interesting to me, Amazon, as you mentioned, they took 10 years or whatever, and they struggled and spent so much money and failed at everything. It took years and years, and they had a lot of very smart people and a lot of money backing them up. They worked and worked and worked. And then they came up with Amazon Prime. Pay me X amount of money and I'll give you second day shipping overnight or whatever, second day shipping free or whatever it was. And such a teeny little thing. Like, they have this entire model, like they have warehouses everywhere, the infrastructure, they're Amazon. This whole software that puts the different products in place and people update. There's so much to Amazon. And they went their whole life just struggling. And they've had a million ideas kind of filter through there that didn't work, or worked well enough, but not really. They came up with Amazon Prime. And you can read about this, and it's crazy. This stupid membership, essentially, that says, I'll ship your stuff second day for free if you're paying me, what was it, somewhere like, $15 a month or whatever it was. I don't remember. That's the point. The point is Amazon Prime hits. And for some reason, it changed everybody's brain to where, well, I'm paying for Prime anyway, I'll just order it on Amazon as opposed to go to Walmart or whatever. And that is what took that company from good to great. It was that one thing. It was all these thousands of failed ideas, and they went back and they recalibrated and thought, and they went, let's try this. And for whatever reason, that's what caught on. And that's why we all order from Amazon. That one decision on top of this entire mountain that they built. So it's really interesting when you read about these companies. It really is just continuing to try something new and recalibrating, resting, thinking. And then it worked. Amazon Prime turned into the huge thing. Everyone had it. And then they went, oh, well, add Amazon Prime Video and add Amazon Prime Music and add all these books and all these different things. And that's why Amazon is as big as it is. And, you've had Temu and the other guys come up, and their products are even cheaper. And, they're pretty cheap, not just cheap, it's like money-wise, they're cheap as in they're really poorly built. Sure. But a lot of the product is the same product. It's not all cheap. It's a lot of the same stuff you get on Amazon. Yet you're still buying from Amazon. It took a long time to get that saturation in the market, and that Prime membership is part of it. So it's pretty crazy how all these things are working, and then this one little thing, and that's with your website as well. When you're saying, I put all this money in and I got one sell, it's like, dude, you keep working it, and then you're going to find this one stupid little thing that you put in there, and all of a sudden, bam, overnight, not that it is instant success, it's going to feel like it is success, but you've been working on it for 10 years. Like a band, the first time you heard a band, you're like, this band's the best, I just heard them, they're amazing. It's like, yeah, that band has been making music for 15 years, from their garage to their crappy apartment. You just heard of them, and maybe it's their first major record release with a major label. And so you see it as one record, but dude, they've got 35 records that you've never heard of.
Dude, that's such a good, like, you and I both understand. I mean, obviously your band had commercial success. I was just in garage bands, but even that, like, people don't realize, do you know how long it takes to get 5 dudes to learn one song perfectly?
In the beginning,
Five
it takes a long
dudes that
time.
all have bigger ego than the guy in front of them,
Yeah.
And all the same angsty teenage nonsense and everything. And yeah, dude, like, and that same thing happens in business. You and I have done businesses together. Like, it's so hard to get synced up. You talked about getting the buy-in. Like, I just need everybody to believe in what we're doing. I'm not saying it's like, I mean, dude, we talked about religion. I mean, you think about, I think about this all the time. Like, the world as we know it today was not like when Christ arrives on the scene, like, it's in chaos, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows more than the next guy. We're making arbitrary rules just because I want more land or your wife or something. And Jesus comes along and says, no. We don't have to do that anymore. And a bunch of people were like, phew, finally, this sucks. But some people were like, yes, we do. Kill that dude. Like, what? Well, whoa, hold on a minute. I
always have to explain that to my kids. Like, how come some people didn't think he was Jesus, the Son of God? I'm like, dude, if you had all the money and all the power, and then some crackerjack comes up in here threatening your business, you're going to be like, yeah, come on in. You can have all the power. No way, dude. I don't care who this guy says he is. He's out. Well, I'm staying in.
And the modern version, like the business version of that, is like, we all get inspired by whoever our business idol is, whether it's Jeff Bezos, Mark Cuban, whoever it is, dude, John D. Rockefeller. And then you go, yeah, Elon Musk, I'm going to build rockets too. And then you're like, Elon's like, no, sorry, I had Congress pass a law that only I can build rockets.
Right.
Like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, have you been... You heard about what Robert Redford did that exact thing in Park City. He went into Park City. He bought up hundreds of acres in Park City. Beautiful. I think it's Camas area. Beautiful, beautiful area. Just pristine. I mean, it's Park City. It's absolutely perfect.
It's on the backside. Yeah, it's the Sundance.
Yeah. He buys that whole area, and he literally goes to Congress or the local government, and he says, oh, this is protected. Nobody else can do anything in this area. Oh, but I can. I'm grandfathered in. Dude, you are a punk, man. Yeah. So yeah, it happens all the time.
I actually heard somebody say one time, they're like the definition of an environmentalist is the person that already bought their land.
Right. That's so true.
Anyway. Oh. Well, dude, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Sorry it took me so long to get on and then figure this out. Next time I won't have all these problems because I'll be sitting at my desk and not be a punk.
It's all good. I appreciate you being here. Mike Rodericks, everybody, we're going to let him sign off and tell you about his company. But real quick, just to recap, we did the fourth principle of success with the system is a solution, which is basically prioritize rest, recalibrate. Went through a lot here. Hopefully you guys get a chance to watch through it all. And then we'll turn it over to you, Mike. What do you want to tell the audience about your company?
Oh, man, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity. Like we said before, you and I have been friends a really long time. I love what you're doing with this. I love that this isn't the, like, and no shot at the Grant Cardones and those kind of things, but like, not everybody has to be a billionaire. It's okay to have sufficient for your needs. You know what I mean? And some people need to make 55K for their business, and some people need to make 55 billion. That's fine. So but I love the idea that we can all be, kind of have some mindfulness when we're doing this. So I appreciate what you're doing. My business, bigmikesproducts.com. Check it out if you want. We'd appreciate the love. So
right on. Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll probably see you next week.
Talk to you soon. Bye.